Welcome everyone to today's webcast, UMT Project Essentials 2012, Business Planning and Management Capabilities for Project Server 2010. My name is Ben Chamberlain. I'm an SVP of Product Marketing at UMT. UMT are specialists in project and portfolio management, consulting, technology, and education. We're actually Microsoft Project's largest implementation partner in North America. In addition to our consulting best practices and services, over the years, UMT has become recognized for releasing solutions that seamlessly extend the project platform. In fact, in 2006, Microsoft acquired a top-down portfolio analysis tool known as UMT Portfolio Manager from UMT, which is now forms the portfolio optimization and capacity planning analysis that is resident in Project Server 2010. In 2010, with the release of Project Server 2010, UMT released UMT Project Essentials, which is the ultimate business planning and management solution for Project Server 2010. I'm excited today to show you a glimpse into our new solution, UMT Project Essentials 2012. This version is due to ship at the end of May of this year. And we're truly excited about this, and again, I'm excited to showcase the capabilities today. So, a little bit of housekeeping. I have muted the line, so we'll be pausing at the end of today's session for a Q&A. With that, let's take a look at the agenda for today. First, we'll take a look at why business planning and management has become a PPM priority. We'll then jump into UMT Project Essentials 2012. We'll look at some of the new features that comprise the release, an overview of the positioning and messaging, and spend at least 50% of today in a live demonstration. We'll then end with benefits and Q&A. So first, to help me better navigate through today, if we just jump to a quick poll. And I'm going to ask this pretty simple question there. How familiar are you with the current version of UMT Project Essentials? So if you can just take the next 15 to 20 seconds to respond to this poll, this will help me in terms of the demonstration of showcasing just net new features or new and existing capabilities. So the question, how familiar are you with the current version of UMT Project Essentials? Responses that are available: I'm a customer or UMT partner using UMT Project Essentials. I've seen a demo of UMT Project Essentials in the past, or I've never seen a demo of UMT Project Essentials. So I'll give another 10 seconds or so to respond to this poll. Okay, if we could just show the results of the poll. Looks like around 66% of this is net new to you guys, so welcome to your first glimpse of UMT Project Essentials. 28% or so have seen Project Essentials in the past, and we have some partners and customers on the phone too, which is great. So based on the fact that this is new for many of you, I'll provide more of a holistic overview of the solution as we step through today. So first, let's take a look at why business planning management has become a PPM priority. Driven by an uncertain economy, enhanced compliance requirements, and a rapid evolution in technology, project and portfolio management, or PPM, priorities have advanced from bottom-up execution-orientated project management and resource management capabilities to embrace top-down portfolio management techniques, including comprehensive demand management, strategic planning, and portfolio selection. The rise in importance of portfolio management has primarily been driven by the need to better manage finances. Now more than ever, organizations need to gain visibility and control across both project and portfolio financials and effectively measure ROI. I think that it's fair to say that the adoption of portfolio management concepts at the senior level in organizations has in turn raised awareness for the benefits of project and portfolio management. PPM is becoming or has become a mission-critical or strategic process for many organizations, and customers require and expect integrated and robust financial management and governance capabilities. To this end, business planning and management has become a priority for organizations deploying PPM best practices and tools. It may sound a little flippant, but at the end of the day, I think it's all about money. PPM is now used by organizations to support the strategic planning process, to deliver projects on time and within budget, and even track benefits after the completion of projects. Obviously, at each step within the life cycle, it is important to consolidate accurate and reliable financial data to help support decision-making. So let's take a look at what is business planning and management. Business planning and management capabilities basically help organizations to establish an investment governance framework that is integrated and also complements their existing PPM tools and capabilities. In short, business planning and management helps organizations effectively control investments and financials across the entire life cycle. By establishing the appropriate governance controls, you can effectively and consistently manage different types of projects, standardize the collection of key metadata, and through governance approvals, keep an auditable record of funding decisions made across the process. Business and planning and management extends PPM capabilities at each stage in the life cycle. So if we think about the strategic planning process, business planning and management capabilities help with true top-down budgeting, starting at the organization and departmental level, being able to allocate budgets to different departments or levels within the organizational hierarchy. The ability to then break down robust cost and benefit assessments, both at, let's say, a program level or project level, depending on how you're initiating your work within your organization. Capturing robust estimates helps also to improve the strategic planning process, ensuring you have accurate and reliable financial data to include within that analysis. Having understood which projects you're going to fund for an upcoming planning period, you in turn can then move into execution and rely on financial status reporting capabilities, the ability to effectively monitor financials at different levels within your organization, project levels, program levels, back at the portfolio level itself. So you can complete financial status reports capturing actual cost for the period, as well as forecasting remaining cost for the projects and the programs. It's also important to integrate with ERP systems to ensure you're consolidating all the financial data within the PPM system. When projects are in flight, often you need to request incremental funding. So business planning and management controls here help support the change request management process to request incremental funding and even request or update changes to your benefits forecast. As we move beyond the life of a traditional project, business planning and management capabilities are used to measure results, specifically looking at the benefits. Did the project achieve the benefits that it set out to achieve through benefits realization? So business planning and management really is providing the investment governance capabilities that extend your existing PPM capabilities. A while back, UMT held a poll of around 200 or so decision makers and asked this question: how satisfied are you of your organization's project financial management processes and controls? And as you can see here, that around 73% or so responded to this poll as they were either dissatisfied or very dissatisfied with their current project financial management processes, which goes to show that there's an opportunity to improve how organizations manage their financials alongside their project portfolios, as well as it's also important to these leaders. Again, the importance of business planning and management is evident. When we receive RFPs from customers around the US, there's always sections in these RFPs on financial management and governance. So let's jump in and take a look at UMT Project Essentials. As mentioned, UMT Project Essentials provides the ultimate business planning and management solution for Project Server 2010. When I think about the capabilities of UMT Project Essentials, I distill them down into the following 4 themes. And we'll have a slide on each of these to go a little deeper. Seamless and effective governance, accurate and reliable budgeting, effective tracking and BI, and easy to use and integrated. Again, we are truly excited about the upcoming release of UMT Project Essentials 2012, and I'm conscious that many of us on the call today are not familiar with the current release. So I'm just going to gloss over a few of the features that are going to be included in UMT Project Essentials 2012. UMT Project Essentials has 2 editions, Project Essentials Standard and Project Essentials Pro, and here you can see the new features and enhanced capabilities that feature across one or both of these SKUs or editions. So in the next release, we have the ability to break down costs on a percentage basis by cost centers. Today you have the ability to break down costs manually by cost centers, but in 2012 you'll be able to automatically break down costs on a percentage basis, and we'll take a look at that in the demonstration today. There's improved integration with the project plan and schedule and resource plan. Again, we'll look at the demonstration today of how we can automatically aggregate resource assignment costs from the resource plan. There's many improvements in how we establish the financial rules and controls at each workflow stage in the process. Change request management is a key feature that many of our customers and partners have asked us for, and in UMT Project Essentials 2012 we provide the ability to request incremental funding and route those requests through workflows to be approved or rejected. The solution has the ability of keeping an auditable record or snapshots of financials throughout the process. This snapshot capability has been updated in 2012 to give you the ability to build different snapshot templates and also the ability to snapshot not just financial information but also custom fields in Project Server. There's improvements to the financial statusing reporting process, which I won't go into, general improvements to performance and usability across the system. Now, the next few features relate to features that are just available in UMT Project Essentials Pro. You have the ability to define any number of enterprise financial types. You'll see this in the demonstration. You can think of an enterprise financial type as a financial structure. In the current version, you have 2 structures available to you, cost and benefit. In the next version, UMT Project Essentials 2012, you'll be able to define any number of financial structures, cost, benefit, cash flow, or any structures that you need. You also have the ability to define additional financial dimensions. You can think of financial dimensions as budget, actual, and forecast. So again, now you have the flexibility to define additional financial dimensions. Could be a phase 1 budget, a phase 2 budget. You could have a budget at a project level, a project at a program level, a budget at the organizational level. Lots of flexibility around defining financial dimensions. We are truly excited about the multi-currency capabilities included in UMT Project Essentials 2012. And again, we'll take a look at those in the demonstration today. UMT Project Essentials includes a very powerful workflow designer. For many of you on the call today, this will be the first time you look at this, so I will go into it in more detail than I was planning to, but there's been incremental improvements, which I'll point out, made within that graphical designer. A feature that is truly powerful is the ability to map relationships and aggregate financial data between different enterprise project types. So the system keeps an auditable record of the different entities that are added from each GPT. Enterprise project types are obviously templates for work that you have, or different projects that you have in Project Server. So we have the ability to map the relationships between different entities created from EPTs. So you could have an EPT representing programs. You could have an EPT representing different types of projects. I can then link projects back to the appropriate programs that they support and aggregate the financial data accordingly back to the program level. And again, we'll take a look at that in the demonstration today. So let's just jump back to the sort of positioning themes and take a quick look at some of the capabilities across UMT Project Essentials 2012. First, seamless and effective governance. What we're looking to do here is easily build and deploy governance workflows on top of Project Server 2010 and standardize our financial structures and controls. So UMT Project Essentials 2012 allows you to define the financial structures and dimensions that are applicable for your organization. In this screenshot here, you see a hierarchical cost structure that has been defined. The solution includes a very flexible and powerful workflow designer that simply allows you to add workflow stages already defined in Project Server 2010 into the workflow designer and simply configure the business rules and logic that deal with stage transitions, approvals, and other aspects for that workflow. You can drill down into each workflow stage to administer the appropriate business controls and rules and the financial settings at each stage in the workflow. And again, we'll take a look at that in the demonstration. New to 2012 is the ability to maintain multiple currencies within the system and have a currency rates table that you update on a periodic basis. So really what we're looking to do is establish a thoroughbred governance process, standardize our workflows and financial structures and controls. Next, accurate and reliable budgeting. What UMT Project Essentials allows you to do is it includes a number of out-of-the-box best practice financial web parts for estimating costs, web parts for tracking costs, web parts for estimating benefit and tracking benefit, and so on. So simply early on in the project lifecycle, you can capture time phase, cost, and benefit estimates within the project's business case. The solution supports organizational budgeting, as I mentioned earlier. You can simply break down costs at a cost center or cost code level. This can be done manually or can be done on a percentage basis, as I mentioned earlier. You also have the ability to establish default currencies at the project level. Each project can be edited in a single currency but viewed in multiple currencies. As mentioned earlier, with the ability to automatically aggregate the resource assignment costs either from the resource plan or the schedule, depending on where you want to pull from at various stages in the workflow. The solution also includes very powerful snapshot capabilities. Snapshots, as mentioned earlier, are used to keep a record of project financials and changes to custom fields at varying points in the project lifecycle. Now, all this robust financial information is now rolled up and is available to be used within the out-of-the-box portfolio selection, the cost constraint analysis and resource constraint analysis in Project Server 2010. If we jump forward in the process to tracking, again, UMT Project Essentials provides the ability to create and submit financial status reports for projects and programs in the system. The solution looks at calculating real-time variances based on that data being budget, actuals, and forecasts. The solution can sync with varying ERP systems to pull in the latest data for a current period. Let's say you were reporting on April 2012. You could use the data import module to pull in data from an SAP or equivalent to have it automatically displayed when the project managers or equivalent resources are completing the financial status report. Again, as mentioned earlier, if your forecast is exceeding your budget, you may want to create a change request, and the solution allows you to create change requests for incremental funding and route change requests for approval. Once approved, your budget will be updated accordingly, and a record of the changes is maintained, original budget to revised budget. The solution seamlessly extends the Project Server reporting framework. Obviously, Project Server 2010 has Microsoft's full business intelligence capabilities that are extremely powerful. And now with UMT Project Essentials, we simply extend that existing reporting infrastructure, providing a dedicated reporting DB and OLAP tubes for the time-phased financial information, ensuring that now you can create powerful BI reports that include standard project metadata and the time-phased financials too. A key differentiator for the solution has always been not only the ability to estimate benefits, but the ability to go beyond the life of the project and track benefits realized. Last but by no means least, easy to use and integrated. Really, we're able here to get started quickly and ensure a strong user experience. UMT Project Essentials is seen as a gold standard by the Microsoft Project Product Group on how you build on the combined platform of Project Server 2010 and SharePoint Server 2010. In fact, for many of you whose first time will be seeing the solution today, the normal takeaway is the solution is so well integrated from both a data and UI perspective, it's difficult to know where Project Server stops and UMT Project Essentials starts, and that is really by design. So here you can see that we're using the ribbon interface to surface the key financial controls. We have an integrated settings page that allows administrators to manage both the governance processes and financials on top of Project Server 2010. To help you get started quickly, we ship a number of out-of-the-box best practice financial web parts that plug and play into the existing enterprise project type and project detail page infrastructure of Project Server. So you're simply just adding these web parts into project detail pages like you would do with any web parts in Project Server 2010 and displaying those web parts at the salient point in the governance process. So with that, what I'm going to do now is jump into a demonstration. Based on the fact that a majority, I believe it was 68%, this is the first time I've seen the solution, I'm going to really provide more of a high-level overview. And for those who are familiar with the solution, I'll certainly point out some of the major new features as we step through today's demonstration. So first, let me share the solution. Okay, so you should be seeing the solution on your screen. I hope it is looking clear on your screen. Robert, if it's not rendering well, just let me know via the chat. So this is Project Server 2010. This is actually the standard demonstration image that's provided to Microsoft Field and Microsoft partners, and we have UMT Project Essentials installed on this image. Now, this is UMT Project Essentials 2012. I'm able to see UMT Project Essentials in the left-hand navigation menu because I have administration and privileges. And here I see the settings page that allows me to administer the financials and governance capabilities on top of Project Server 2010. So again, it's not my purpose or objective today to show you necessarily how to administer the whole system, but let's just take a look at some of the new capabilities. So, manage enterprise financial types. As mentioned earlier, we ship two financial structures out of the box, cost and benefit. So if I want to click on cost here, and I want to manage my cost structure, you can see this is the cost structure that has been defined for this demonstration. So we simply see costs broken down by multiple levels here. I can simply add, reorder, remove nodes from my structure. So again, it's up to you with what nodes you include in your cost structure. We have the ability to define cost structures. We have the ability to define financial benefit structures. You see here, again, here's an example of a benefit structure that has been defined. And we also have the ability to define additional structures. For example, I created a new structure here called cash flow by simply creating on create new. And now I have the ability to come in and define my financial structure here for cash flow. So if you're using UMT Project Essentials Pro 2012, you can define additional financial structures in addition to costs and benefits. Also have the ability to define financial dimensions. Out of the box, there's three dimensions that are provided: budget, actuals, and forecasts, but I can also define additional financial dimensions. For example, in this demonstration, we'll be taking a look at program-level budget as well as project-level budget. So I have a dimension captured here for program budget. Whenever you define a financial structure, you break that structure down into different templates. So if I take a look at one of these templates here, you can see the nodes that are included. I simply select the nodes here within the structure that will be included within this template. And then I would associate this template back to different enterprise project types defined in Project Server. And when you initiate a project from an EPT, it's going to inherit that financial structure. So we'll take a look at that in a second. So basically, we've had the ability to define our enterprise financial types, our financial dimensions, and we also have the ability to define different cost centers or cost codes that will be used in the organization. So here's a flat list of example cost centers or cost codes that have been defined. I can simply create a new one, entering alphanumeric characters here and adding it into the system. To support organizational budgeting and chargebacks later in the process, we also maintain the concept of cost center groups, normally used to represent the organizational hierarchy. Here, if you see, if I click on IT, we're seeing the cost centers which are related to IT. So we're going to aggregate data from these cost centers back to this level in the hierarchy. So we looked at defining financial types, dimensions, and cost centers and cost groups. Next, let's take a look at establishing a workflow that's going to be used to manage our projects. To do so, I'm simply going to click on Manage Workflows. And here I see a number of workflows that have already been defined. This is the workflow that's used in the standard Microsoft demo image, which is powered by UMT Workflow Designer. And here we see a workflow that really comprises the end-to-end life cycle of a project. It's very, very easy to build out new workflows and publish them on top of Project Server 2010. To do so, I'll simply just close this down and add and create a new workflow. I'm going to add stages. So these, I'm going to add multiple stages. These are stages that are already been defined in Project Server 2010. So I'm just going to select a few stages. The first one I'm going to select is Initiate Gate. I'm then going to go to a potential rejection point, then to define for high-level business case. And then I'm going to go to my first portfolio analysis select gate. And I'm going to add these stages into the graphical designer. So these are already stages that are defined in Project Server 2010. What we can do now is define the business logic and rules to move between these stages. So I can drag and drop within this interface. I can now drill down to edit the stages. For those of you familiar with UMT Project Essentials, you'll notice that the UI here has changed. So I have the ability here to capture the name of the stage, a status message that's displayed in the workflow status page of Project Server. We can either have the default rendering of the workflow graphic, which is going to be displayed in the workflow status page, or even have custom graphics displayed at each stage in the process. We specify a start stage, or whether it's a final stage, whether the solution requires or the project requires manually submitted, or whether we need to integrate with the underlying financial capabilities in UMT Project Essentials, which we don't for this particular stage. And then we have a number of stage transition options. We can have a very simple default, a sequential stage transition. So here I'd move from this stage to one of the other stages defined here, or I could even start a new workflow and jump to a new workflow completely. We also have the ability to tie into the optimization analysis in Project Server 2010. So if a project is selected in the cost constraint analysis or the resource constraint analysis, we can say, okay, move to this stage. If it's not included, we can say move to another stage or start a new workflow. But the real power in the new workflow designer capabilities is in the advanced transitions. So now I have the ability, much like I would do in Outlook if I was defining rules, to define the different transition logic or approval notifications that need to be sent. So this happens to be actually an approval point. So what I'm going to do is define an approval. So I'm clicking on approval here and clicking on OK. And the first thing I'm going to do is create an approval chain. So I'm going to say, when this project reaches this point, first of all, I want it sent to the portfolio manager's group of people, and the first person to respond from that group will impact the notification. And I'm going to add that into the system. So if approved by portfolio managers, what transition do we want? Well, actually, what we actually want to happen here is something slightly different. I'm going to say, okay, if approved, I'm going to want another approval notification sent, and this is going to be sent to my executive team. So we've created a kind of chain of approvals. So if approved by the portfolio managers, then approved by the executive team. If approved by the executive team, we're simply going to move to the next logical stage in the process, which is define our business case stage. If rejected by that team, we're going to go and park this project in the rejected state. If rejected by the portfolio manager group here, again, we'll go and park this project in the rejected state. Now, another new feature in UMT Project Essentials 2012 workflow is the ability to associate custom code snippets, which can be automatically run when a project enters a stage, a workflow stage, or exits a workflow stage. Here you see example code snippets like create a new SharePoint site, or import actuals from SAP, or send a notification to a custom group, etc. So once I save those changes, you'll see the graphic changes automatically to a decision point, and we plot the relationships between the stages. Okay. Next, I can turn this into a final stage to make it look like a termination point, and now we can come up with a very simple rule for the define stage. Define stage is where we're going to expect a high-level business case to be completed. So what we're going to say actually is, yes, once they're completed with that business case, they need to click on manual submit. And also, we are going to integrate with the financial capabilities because we will be doing a cost-benefit analysis. But once they're complete with that process, we can move to the next stage, which happens to be our decision point, the select gate. So it's as easy as that, and I don't have time today to build out much more of a workflow. But you can imagine how easy it is to build your workflows and simply save your workflows, as I do here. Save the workflows. So I'm just saving my workflow now. And also the ability then to publish the workflows so that they can be associated with the appropriate EPTs. I don't have time to go through that in more detail today. Again, what I want to draw people's attention to who are familiar with UMT Project Essentials 2012 is one of the main limitations in the current version of UMT Project Essentials is you only had the ability from one stage to move to two others. So from this initiate gate, I can only move to rejected or from define, or to define. Now with this new advanced transition rules, you can define any number of stage transitions. So I can have more than 2 stage transitions for every stage in the process. So keep that in mind. It helps with building out the branching logic within your workflows. Okay, so here we see our workflow is now created in the library. If I published that, I could associate it with different enterprise project types. So let's close that down. The last things I'm going to show you from an administration standpoint is the ability to build out different snapshot templates and manage multi-currency capabilities. So you have the ability to define different snapshot templates. Here's an example of a snapshot template. These snapshot templates can be used either manually by a user creating a snapshot or a version of their financials, or can be automated through the workflow. So here we're seeing the phase 1 snapshot. It's actually going to snapshot our budget benefits or our benefit estimates, our cost estimates from the financial dimension standpoint, and these are the custom fields that will be included in the snapshot. Remember, a net new capability in UMT Project Essentials 2012 is also to snapshot project server custom fields. And we'll look at snapshots in a second within the demonstration. We also have the ability to manage multi-currency settings. So you specify a default enterprise currency in Project Server 2010. In this example, USD is the default enterprise currency. I can then come in and add additional currencies that are applicable for my organization. And I've added here euro and British pounds. So if I open up my euro currency, I can see the exchange rates that are being maintained here. So you have the ability to keep or update your exchange rates relative to the enterprise currency on a periodic basis. In this example, we're going to update it on a quarterly basis. You can update on a monthly, daily. The increment is down to you. You'd simply add the current the new exchange rate into this table and maintain it going forward. So we'll take a look at it, multi-currency as well in a second. So the last thing I'll show you actually is actually the settings for enterprise project types, and I'll go back to the workflow to show this. So if I open up the workflow that is complete, and we go back to that define stage that we were looking at before, if I drill down to the define stage, I can actually specify the financial rules and controls that are applicable for that stage. So if I click on financial stage settings, I can select from one or more of the EPTs that are displayed here. So I'm going to actually select the business project, and it's going to open up another view. And this view here allows me to specify the financial rules and controls for this particular stage. Again, for those of you familiar with UMT Project Essentials 2012, there's lots of improvements here. I have the ability to set up my different data validation rules that are applicable. Must have some budget data, some budget data, as you see here, for both the cost and the benefit financial dimensions that are defined. I can simply add those rules to be run here. We do also have the ability to define different transition actions. A transition action could be something like creating a snapshot. You can automatically have snapshots run as you move from one stage to another stage in the workflow. And here you see some other options that are available. You can copy data between financial dimensions, like copying data from budget to forecast once the project's approved automatically through these transitions. But we also now have the ability to specify what financial information needs to be captured and the detail of that financial information at each stage in the workflow. For example, I'm looking at my cost structure here, and we're going to say, okay, at this stage, we expect the cost estimate web part to be read-write. We're expecting people to break down this information by quarters and at level 4 within the underlying cost structure. There's 6 levels in the cost structure that has been defined. We also have the ability to say, what do we want? Do we want a percentage allocation from cost centers, or do you want people to break down cost centers, the data by cost centers manually? We can specify whether we expect the resource assignment cost to be pulled from nowhere, meaning you're going to enter them manually, or from the resource plan or the project plan. In this instance, we specified the resource plan, and many other settings here that can be employed. So basically, I've established my financial structures, I've built my workflow, and I've specified my financial rules and controls at each stage in the workflow. Now, if we go back to Project Center, we can take a look at a project that's already in the defined stage. The defined stage being where we expect a high-level business case to be established for this particular project. Here we see graphically an overview of where you are in the workflow, which is coming from UMT Project Essentials. And we can now start to build out our business case. So if I go to my cost estimates view here, we're going to see the cost estimate web part, which is automatically displaying data by level, by quarters, and at level 4 in the structure, just like I showed you in the settings. Now, I can simply edit this project to start updating the financials. The first thing we can do here is set the default currency for the project. This is actually going to be set to USD, and I'm going to leave it at USD. Now, I can either manually enter my financials, or we can integrate with the underlying resource plan, which I should have completed here. So here's a resource plan with generic skills already associated. I haven't published this plan yet, so let me simply publish that now. And so what's going to happen in the background, based on the resource rates, we're going to determine the cost for these different skills, which are expressed in values of FTE. So if I come back, go back to my project, Dynamics CRM, and now see that we have some data already captured here. Let me just refresh this. Some data already captured here. Now, if we scroll down within the hierarchy, what you'll see is this little node here that is denoting that this internal labor, the cost for the internal labor node is coming from the underlying resource plan or resource schedule and cannot be edited. So for those of you familiar with UMT projects, the current version of UMT Project Essentials, now I can actually come into the system and aggregate costs from the schedule, but also maintain cost freehand for other nodes within the structure. So that's a new and improved capability in 2012. So I've simply broken down my cost estimates here for this particular project. Next, I can look at breaking it down further by cost centers. And the way we set this up is allowing for percentage allocation. So in this case, I'm actually going to break costs down by finance and HR, two funding sources, and I'll put 60% of the cost to finance and 40% of the cost to HR, and I'll actually display these cost center nodes or cost centers within the cost structure, just so you can see the breakdown has been done automatically. Again, so you can maintain the total cost, specify the percentage allocation back to one or more funding sources, and the cost will be broken down automatically and aggregated back. Of course, this can be used for organizational budgeting, can also be used for chargebacks later in the process. So you have the flexibility of manually breaking this down or breaking it down on a percentage basis. Because we have a list of currencies now maintained in the system, I can now toggle between the different currencies in the system, so we're now looking at the appropriate costs for euro in the system. So next we can look at capturing benefit estimates. So I simply come in now to my benefits table and be prompted to capture benefits by year and at level 2. I'm going to do this very quickly. I'm going to capture some high-level benefits. That's probably one too many zeros. And I can drag and drop just like we do in Project Server within the grid, and I can save that into the system. So we've got both high-level cost and benefit estimates maintained in the system. Now, I mentioned earlier on the ability to associate entities within Project Server together. So I gave the example of projects to programs. So here we have programs already established in the system, and I can now allocate the cost of this project back to the appropriate program. So here we see a dynamic CRM deployment program. There's two programs in the system. And I can simply save that and maintain that relationship, and I'm actually aggregating 100%, because it's a program, of the cost of the project back to the program. And this associations view now really acts as a sort of breadcrumb trail within the system. So I can actually go now to the program itself, if I have the appropriate rights, and take a look at the program. This program has a workflow that's managing it independently. What we're seeing with this workflow is you're able to submit at the program level, build a high-level business case at the program level. Once approved, you can break down the underlying projects and start tracking at the program level. So this highlights the importance of being able to maintain additional financial dimensions. This budgeted cost of ownership shown here, I'll just bring this into quarters, is actually a cost captured at the program level, estimates captured at the program level only. And this program has been approved based on these costs and benefits at the program level. But if I look at these cost forecasts and tracking estimates, these are actually aggregated costs coming from the underlying projects that are associated with this particular program. This is aggregated from the project that we just created, and there's already a project that's also associated with that program. So lots of flexibility in approving funding at the program level, breaking down underlying project costs and aggregating back. So if I look at the associations to this program, we actually see there's two projects already allocated or associated to this program. And I can return now to my Dynamics CRM project. So we also have the ability to define snapshots. There's two ways of defining having snapshots created, either manually or automatically via the workflow. So in the ribbon here you see snapshots. I can come in here, I can create, if I have rights to do so, test snapshot. I can base it off a best practice template. This is the phase 1 budget we're going to use here actually, which you can see is going to snapshot my benefit estimates, my cost estimates, and these custom fields. And I'm going to save that into the system one more time. And it's going to keep a snapshot or a record of those financials at that point in the process. And I can now review this further. And I can see this is now the snapshot. You can also do this via the workflow. I won't do this because I don't have time, but if I were to submit this project for approval, to move from define to select gate, the way we set this workflow up is to automatically create a snapshot based off that template, the phase 1 budget template. So you can keep a record of the financials as you move in or move out of any approval points. Now again, as I'm conscious on time today, I'm going to skip the detailed planning process and jump next to the execution portion of the project's life cycle. So let's do that now. Let me close out of this particular project. Let's change the view to take a look at plan and manage, projects that have reached that plan and manage stage. And let's take a look at a project here, Dynamics CRM Deployment, EMEA, that is currently in execution. So if I open up this particular project, we're going to see there's additional project detail pages displayed here. I'll simply edit this particular project. So this project has been approved. We have the cost and benefit estimates. If I click here, locked down now. Actually, once the project was approved, we dynamically copied the cost estimates to the cost forecast table, so we're ready to start tracking. So I've actually just shown the cost and benefits now in a single PDP. This is locked and can't be edited. Reporting is also key, so I'm actually going to just bring up a report as I'm talking. Let's see if this generated. What this report is showing, as it builds out, is actually the different financial information as we progress through multi-phase approvals of the project. So here's our phase 1 snapshot that I was talking about earlier, and we're seeing the costs and other metrics related to that. As we moved through the detailed planning decision point into execution, we also took another snapshot, and we can see the variance between both our phase 1 estimates and our phase 2 estimates. Again, this delta may help you decide whether or not you want to re-optimize the portfolio if the financials have differed significantly between the high-level budget, phase 1, and the detailed budgeting in phase 2. We can also see graphics that are looking at the differences potentially of any percentage allocation to funding sources. We can look at different payback periods, cost and benefit breakdowns, etc. Very easy to create these reports on top of the reporting infrastructure that is available. But we're in the tracking lifecycle stage now, so we may want to create a financial status report for our projects. So what I'm going to do now is simply create a financial status report. You can see here the current period is April 2012. The PM here would simply come in and capture. I'm going to cheat and just manually enter this. Capture the appropriate cost actuals for the period. So this is one way of doing this. I manually enter the information. That's one way. Another way is to use the data import module that we have to pull in the actuals for the current period from an ERP system so it will be automatically displayed. Once you've entered the actuals here, you'll see we dynamically create the different variances based off the data that we maintain, the budget, actuals, and the forecast. I'll show you forecast in a second. And I can now go down, also go back and look at historic reporting periods. So I can go back and look at, open the report for February and so on. So if we take a look at this particular project, I also can maintain my forecast for the remaining period of the project life cycle, which is only two months left in the process. This particular project is actually running over budget. I can see that if I look at my forecast. In this view here, it's actually almost $500,000, $440,000 over budget, which may mean we want to create a change request. So there's many ways to create a change request. Obviously, a change request is going to be looking to overwrite our approved budget. So I can come in here and manually create a change request by clicking on Create Change Request, creating a name, selecting a template, and then building out the incremental funds needed or changes to the benefits that are required. Or I can actually use this very powerful feature, Copy to Financial Dimensions. So financial, or at least a change request relative to cost, is basically copying my forecast over my future periods for budget. So copy forecast to budget for future periods, which is an action here. And so this is saying copying my forecast data from my forecast financial dimension to my budget financial dimension. So I can cheat, and rather than do this manually, I can simply run this rule. It tells me here the destination is in execution, so a change request was created for you. So it's not allowing you to overwrite your budget, because your budget is locked down. So it's dynamically created a change request for you. And here you see this change request that has been created. It's now pending. I can drill down, take a look at that change request, open up here. We'll see the absolute values, or even the difference in terms of the funding that has been requested. So when you're setting up the system, you have the ability to define who can approve change requests. So if I click on this change request, we'll see here the approvers are Amy, Carol, and they go here. So next, if I go to Workflow Approvals, we'll see that change request has been routed for approval. If I filter that, edit this item, I can now approve this change request. It's set up so the first person to approve will ultimately approve that change request. So all showed as approved. Now if I go back to my project, go back to take a look at our change requests, what we should have seen is now this is approved, and what that means is our budget has now been updated. So if I close this down, there's actually another report here that I can generate, and this will be the last thing I show today. So this is just loading. So here we'll see a report which is looking at different indicator health, looking at our original budget, now our revised budget, and the amount that was just approved via the change request process. So again, that's as far as I'm going to go with the demonstration today. Obviously, there's a lot more to show you, but I'm hoping you saw the ability to administer the financial settings on top of Project Server 2010, a very easily established workflow that will manage and control investments throughout their life cycle, build out robust estimates, and also ability to track financial performance. We didn't take a deep look at reporting today. We didn't take a look at benefits realization because there just wasn't time. So let me close this down, return to the slides, and we'll wrap up. So over the last 20 months or so, the UMT Project Essentials has been in market. We've really been blown away with the success and customers that are gaining benefit from the solution. We've sold over 30,000 licenses of the tool. And There are many benefits that are achieved. I think we saw today the ability to seamlessly establish your governance workflow and financial controls across the life cycle without needing to write any code. Simply create the workflows and publish is key. We do see a common benefit of being able to sort of streamline the overall project approval process based on the business case, which includes comprehensive cost and benefit analysis. Very important also to be able to consolidate financial data from other systems, or even so people may be using Excel or other tools to manage financials today, into your enterprise PPM system, so you can comprehensively report on financials alongside other metadata. The ability to provide visibility and transparency across the life cycle from a financial perspective is also key. With UMT Project Essentials 2012, we do see it eliminates the need for custom development as it pertains to building financials or workflows, which has the effect to help speed up deployment times, allowing you to focus more on sort of best practice processes and less on custom development on top of the project platform. It also helps customers get incremental value from their Project Server 2010 investment. You may have deployed Project Server 2010 in a phase 1 to overcome certain challenges around resource management, schedule management, team collaboration, or other such things. When you're ready, you now have the ability to overlay the business planning and management capabilities of UMT Project Essentials on top of Project Server 2010. And again, I hope from what you saw today that the end user experience is seamless, so your end users won't know the capability is not necessarily native to Project Server 2010. From a pricing and licensing perspective, and this slide is more intended for people who are familiar with UMT Project Essentials today, the only big difference with the next release, UMT Project Essentials 2012, is that the UMT Project Essentials Pro Cal has increased. In the existing version, the Pro Cal is the same price as the standard Cal, with features like multi-currency, data aggregation, and other such features. We increased the price of the Pro Cal. For those of you that are not familiar with UMT Project Essentials and UMT Project Essentials pricing, we follow a very similar model to Microsoft on a server Cal pricing model here, and very transparent and open about our pricing, and you can see it here. So I realize that we're over time. I'd like to pause now for any questions that you may have. Please use the Q&A manager to ask questions. So I'll pause right now, and while you do so, you can also complete a survey. So I see a few questions coming in. Does this product have to be purchased as part of services, or can it be purchased independent of an integration partner? We do have examples of customers, normally smaller customers, that have bought UMT Project Essentials independent of an implementation partner to build out workflows and other such things. So yes, there's nothing prohibiting you buying the software independent of services. What we've certainly seen over time as well is companies that have started out with the software on its own have later come back to UMT to request services. Nothing to do with the complexity around the software. It's more the complexity in the sort of business change processes in implementing a business management and planning process. So yes, you can go to umtprojectessentials.com. You can request a 30-day trial. You can buy the product independent of services, but please take some time to speak to UMT to understand the value they provide on top of the software. What are the requirements to upgrade to Essentials 2012 from Project Essentials, Project Server, and Project Essentials? So you'll need to be on the latest version of of Project Essentials. So that is UMT Project Essentials with Service Pack 2. If you're on that, then you'll be able to upgrade to the latest version. So there's no reason not to be on the latest version of UMT Project Essentials, because we follow a very similar engineering release plan as Microsoft. So every two months or so we release a cumulative update. Well, this is a little faster than Microsoft, but every six months to 8 months we release a service pack, and every 12 to 18 months on average we release a new version. So make sure you're up to date with the cumulative updates and service packs, and then there'll be no issue of upgrading to the latest release. And just make sure again you're up to date with your Project Server cumulative updates too. We will be emailing out the PowerPoint that was used today, and also a recording of today's session. I do encourage you to go back to UMT Project Essentials to learn more about the solution. Again, there was many things that we didn't touch on today. The main objective of today's session really was to provide a look at the new solution, UMT Project Essentials 2012, but based on the audience today, I provided a more holistic overview of the capabilities rather than a deep dive on some of the new features. So I would like to thank you for your time. Again, I'll keep the Q&A manager open for another 60 seconds or so, but I appreciate you attending today's event, and stay tuned for future product events and best practice webcasts from UMT over the coming months.